Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together and Mayor Patty Land. I have 3 segments in today's program and totally different subjects. The first segment is going to be our Blackberry Festival, and my guests are Carol Atkinson and Chuck Henderson. My next segment has to do with Seeds of Grace, and it's a new program with our Parks Department, and Carol Lee Johnson is my guest. And the last thing we're going to learn about is the Unification Program. My 2 guests are Marta Bowen and Jennifer Martin. Please stay with me. Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Land. I have 2 special guests today, and the event we're talking about is the Blackberry Festival. It's 25 years old this year, and Chuck Henderson and Carol Atkinson are our prime, not just special guests, but they have so much to do with this Blackberry Festival. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Carol, you from the very beginning, tell us a little history about how it got started. And I know that Louis Mentor was our mayor.
Yes, and his wife Paulette came over to the office one day when I was working with the Bremerton Mainstream Association, and she said, let's start a festival. And I said, I looked at her a little bit incredulous, and then we started putting a festival together and went from there. We had it 2 years on the 4th Street because the boardwalk was not built at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we moved down to the boardwalk on the 3rd year.
I had heard over the years that Seattle has their Bite of Seattle, or bumper shoot, the same day, but it's gotten so expensive. I think it's about $60 or more for someone to get a ticket, and it's $8 to take that ferry over to Bremerton and spend the day. About how many booths do we have?
We have about 130 on the boardwalk, and then we have some on 2nd Street where the children's area is.
Now the Rotarians, Chuck, this is where you kind of get involved. I know that Main Street was and Mainstream was something that we had for these 25 years. And then about 3 years ago, Carol, you said, I think I'm going to retire. And rather than lose your attachment and all the things that have been going on, Rotarians stepped up. And I think, didn't you take it to the Rotary Club and see if they were interested?
Yes, Carol was in the building that I'm in, and we started talking. And I suggested that why don't we take it to Rotary and see if we can get that going, because it's a perfect venue for them. And so we brought it to the club, and it was voted on, and they said, yes, let's go forward. And so that's what we're doing now.
And not only go forward, but I think that even more money has been raised with the outreach and what the Rotarians do. You've got a lot more volunteers than you used to have with your volunteer group. So that makes it successful. And again, those vendors that we have down on the boardwalk and on 4th, you, in 2 weeks, when you announce that you're ready for volunteer or for applications, you sell out.
Right, we have for the past probably 5-6 years. One of the reasons that we do that is that we don't duplicate of any vendors. They're all, we have one booth, one of a kind of both foods and crafts and so forth. So they don't get that anyplace else they go, and they can make more money because of it. And so,
where's the farthest distance that a vendor might come?
Well, we had one year come from Hawaii. But we have them coming from, a lot of them come from Arizona. A lot of them come from those states that it gets too hot in the summertime, so they work their way up north so they can have a little nice weather. And
it's perfect weather for us. The boardwalk is just the perfect venue. Do you think we'll ever outgrow the boardwalk as more people come? I believe about 70,000 attend throughout that weekend of Labor Day. And with that many bodies, can we ever get more vendors or more areas in the city?
Well, one of the things that you can only expand so much and still have exclusivity, because it's very difficult to get one of everything that's not duplicate if you have too many. Plus the fact that many people tell me the reason they come is because it's so congested and they just love it, shoulder to shoulder, and they enjoy being there.
And they bring their dogs.
They do that.
They're always on a leash, but it's amazing to see all of the families with dogs. Another thing is the music, and it's not just the vendors and the food and the atmosphere, but How do you get those great bands that you've been able to get over the years?
Well, I used to do that myself, but now we have an entertainment chair
Committee.
and so that's really nice, and it relieves me of some of that. But we try to also do the same with the bands and try to get several different genres of music and not just all the same thing throughout the day. And most of the bands love to come to the festival, and so,
They enjoy it as well.
right.
And I know as a business owner, you get feedback from all the businesses. So not only do people come over and spend time at the festival, they wander the streets. So as you know, the city has been making new streets and longer streets so that they have more to explore. And I think you hear good things back from the business owners, don't you, Chuck?
We do. Very positive feedback as far as the festival and just downtown in general. People really enjoy what they see as far as what the city is becoming, and they love the festival. So we're quite happy with it.
Carol, you bring such a personal touch. I know last year and the year before I was able to go to, it's that dress rehearsal right before you're ready to open, and all of the people that are involved, I believe they're your vendors. You welcome them and you thank them for what they do. They feel like they're a part of the city and the festival, as well as being profitable in what they're doing.
I think so, and this year being the 25th year, we have, Fred Meyer has helped us get a bag, a 25th anniversary bag, and we're going to give that to each one of our vendors that come in, along with a, Chuck, if you want to hold this up, along with their 25th shirt.
I want to be there.
And then we have all of our sponsors are contributing something to this bag, and then so all of vendors will get something. Some of them have been with us 15, 16 years. And, you know, it's like old home week when they come in. I just love to see them.
It's like a reunion, family
right,
reunion.
it is. And this year we've also developed a Bremerton blackberry, like the California raisins, you know. And so we're going to be selling this at the Berry Central booth where we have our apparel and souvenirs. And I think this will be a real nice addition to our 25th year.
For the families that come, I want to share is the little pictures on that 25th anniversary shirt. One of your Rotarians cut that out, and the kids or parents or couples can put their face through, and they get to be one of the blackberries. I think that was very popular. Another added thing for the fun that you have at the festival. Yes. Well, we know this is going to be another successful one, and I think you said that we have a dignitary coming back to celebrate 25 years.
Do. Paulette Mender, one of the founders of the festival, is coming back this year. I called her up. I thought it would be really neat to have her come for the 25th year after, you know, she started it. So she's going to come and be our guest for the festival this year.
Terrific. I know I have an opportunity to speak and welcome some of the crowds. I'm hoping that she's there each time that I'm there so that we can acknowledge again. Great idea. It's only grown. It's successful. And when you say let's have a festival, that's exactly what Bremerton needs. We need to have more festivals, parties in the boardwalk, and people exploring and taking a chance to get to know Bremerton. I thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
I look forward to working with you as well.
Thank you. And there's one last point I'd like to make is all of the proceeds from this Blackberry Festival go back to the community every single year. So 100%.
So it's a benefit on all sides.
It is.
Right.
And
Thanks for your participation, Chuck. And
Thank
Carol,
you.
again, magnificent what you guys both are doing.
Thank you very much.
And stay with us. We've got more guests coming. Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My second guest today is Carol Lee Johnson, and she is with Seeds of Grace. It's a new concept and some exciting things she's going to tell us about that Bremerton has a partnership with this new area, and let's listen to what she has to say. Welcome, Carol Lee.
Thank you very much.
And tell me a little bit about your growing up. Is it in Bremerton or Kitsap?
I was born and raised in Bremerton, right up the hill from Haddon Park. In fact, I went to Haddon Elementary School.
Before they took it down.
Yes.
And then how did you get involved in building gardens?
Well, my whole life I've loved dabbling in the dirt. However, I'm not a professional. So about a year ago, I went to Mexico on a mission trip to build a feeding center with a group of people called the Mazatlan Building Team. And we built this feeding center, but during the whole process, I really felt a longing that I wasn't doing what I was called to do there. And at the end of the process, I was blessed with a vision to build gardens there to help feed the children and give them fresh fruits and vegetables in addition to the things they were eating on a daily basis. So from that point, that was our first goal, was to build the garden in Mexico. And we got our first garden built 1 year to the day from the time that we broke ground on the feeding center. And then after that, we were kind of everything just kind of boiled together in that there was a group of people who were doing Love Does projects all over town. And one of those groups jumped in and said, and we were talking about building gardens here in town. So one of those Love Does groups said, hey, let's work together and build a garden for our Love Does project and show Bremerton how much we love it. And so we all partnered together. I got a hold of Bremerton Parks, and they were ecstatic at the thought. And we knew Haddon Park was where we wanted to be. I just totally felt called there, and that they had the most perfect place there. Yeah.
We've been known as a food desert. And that's a municipality or a city where there are more fast food and drive-through restaurants than there are grocery stores or areas where they can get fresh, not necessarily organic, but fresh fruit grown. So gardens are something that the city has always advocated for.
Sure.
At our Blueberry Park, we have 40 pea patches, you might say, and people rent those. Some of our schools take advantage. You chose a perfect location.
Yes.
So when did you start? And I know your ribbon cutting is coming up.
Yes, so on May 15th, we started the process of putting everything together. On June 1st, we actually broke ground at Haddon Park, and on June 4th, and started planting. We built 20 raised beds of 10 by 10 in size, and on June 14th, we completed the project. We had donations from several different area businesses with soil and lumber and plumbing products and just all kinds of fencing and all kinds of wonderful food. Oh my goodness, we were fed like crazy by people who just wanted to help some way. We had a team of 36 people all told between the 2 days that came in and built and planted and built us a shed, and it just wonderful giving, wonderful opportunity for volunteers. And then, but in the meantime, we built a partnership with Bremerton Food Line, who will be the recipients of all of the produce that is harvested from this garden. And I think that's the most exciting part, is that the garden will be fully manned by volunteers from here on out.
Yes.
And as those volunteers harvest the food, they'll take it directly to Bremerton Food Line, which, with the closing of our QFC, lost a big line for their produce. So I think it's definitely a win-win in our community.
And it's also walkable. You know, Evergreen Rotary Park is where we have our Thursday farmers market, but to think that they're going to be responsible for growing and harvesting, and families can do this. So it isn't just all the original volunteers, but they can bring their little ones or teenagers. If they see how the food is grown, how it tastes, and the different things that they can do, I think it's marvelous.
Well, we're so excited because only on June 1st was when we really got the rest of our June 1st and June 14th, we got all of our planting in. We're already harvesting cucumbers and zucchinis and lettuce, and it's been just amazingly beautiful, and things are growing. We're really looking forward to our ribbon cutting, which is a week from today at 4:30 at the park. We're going to have a spaghetti feed and ribbon cutting ceremony, and invite everybody to come.
The public's invited.
Absolutely, absolutely. Come and see what you guys can do. You know, it's limitless. Parks Department and I are talking about other locations. Lent Landing is one that we're talking about.
I'm very familiar.
I'm so excited about that because that's right around the corner from my house. I would love to work in. We're talking about partnerships with the New Boys and Girls Club up on the hill,
Teen Center.
the Teen Wellness Center. And it's quite limitless. Once these doors are opening, people are clamoring for just a piece of this. It's really been wonderful.
And you know, back in the day during the war, victory gardens were very popular. That was a way that people really sustained their families, and we've come full circle and are doing the same thing in a manner that is nutritious. It's all the things we want our children and our families to take and partake in.
Exactly.
So we know all the people that have had a chance to go to China or India or Mexico. My heart is so warmed by people saying, let's do the same thing here in Bremerton, the place where we live and where we have a future for these families.
Well, our mission statement is to build organic and sustainable gardens in impoverished neighborhoods around the world. That doesn't eliminate, or omit our local population. And we do have a problem with nutrition, with getting kids good nutrition.
I think your vision was perfect. You're the perfect person for this. Carolee, it's a pleasure to have you on board. And everyone's invited. I know that we're going to be playing this 5 times, but we're also going to be marketing the opportunity for people to come and even help in the harvesting.
Absolutely.
It's the Lulu D. Haddon Park.
Yes.
And the address actually...
It's on the corner of 15th and Lafayette, just down the road from Hi-Lo's. Everybody knows Hi-Lo's.
Hi-Lo's.
It's a beautiful little park that is tucked way back, and not many people know about it. But boy, I tell you, more people are going to start using it now.
I agree. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And stay with us. We'll be back with one more segment. Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together and Mayor Patty Lent. The final segment of today's program, I have 2 wonderful young women, and they're with, tell me the name of our program. Kitsap.
Kitsap County Juvenile Department is where I work.
And I'm a veteran parent with the Kitsap County Parents for Parents program.
And the Parents for Parents program is what we're really going to talk about. It's a program that I've participated in on a celebration day, and they call it the Unification Celebration. It happens about every August, and we're going to learn about this program, how you can get involved, and what it means to the families that are already in the program and have successfully completed it and reunited families. So let's start with parent. How did you get involved, Martha?
The way I came about being a veteran parent is I had an open CPS case here in Kitsap County back in 2004. My children were removed, and I had to navigate through the system and go through classes and go through some mental health classes and some drug and alcohol treatment classes. Got my children returned to me. My case was closed, and now I come back with a small group of people to help support people that are new to the system and going through it.
So you actually have experienced what other people need to go through. So when you're talking to them, it's not that you're just reading from a textbook or from information or research. You are living proof that this is a wonderful program, and you're living proof of how it works and is successful.
Yes.
That's great. So many of our people that get involved, I know, come back and give back to the community. So Marta, I welcome that part of you. And Jennifer, I know that with our court system, it's awkward when there is a problem in a family and children need to be removed. What are some of the reasons that would happen?
Children are ultimately removed because they're unsafe in the environment that they're removed from, and that can be from a variety of reasons. Substance abuse is a key piece, a parental addiction within the majority of our cases, I would say. But domestic violence, severe mental illness, criminal activity, sometimes it's also just kind of overall neglect of the children.
Right. We read in the newspaper different types of things that go on, and you just think, you shake your head and say, my goodness, how does that happen? But it does have a happy ending. So from the time that a child is brought into services, and you in the court system are responsible for that. So how do you work with the parents to see that they follow a program, they go through that educational piece, and earn the credits back to have that children return to their home?
So I'm a guardian ad litem at the juvenile department, and ultimately work for the county. We are considered the eyes and ears of the court with respect to the child. In Kitsap County, there's a guardian ad litem appointed to every child who comes into the court system via dependency petition. And so what that means is while the parents have their attorneys, and then there's the social worker and the state representation, we're a separate third party who's more focused on the child and the child's needs and well-being kind of not being lost in the process, while the parents are addressing the things that they need to address in order to reunify with their children.
And so is it someone reporting to you? And Marta, when you had to go through some of your classes, describe a little bit about the length of time and the sequence that brought your children back to you.
Well, I feel that had I got involved in services and accepted the help that was trying to be given to me, I would have gotten my children back a lot sooner. I put up a fight for the first 6 months.
And that's probably common
That
because
is
you're
very-
thinking
it is.
they're my children and no matter what, you're not going to take them. And so you focus on the fight rather than the result that is trying to be achieved.
And that's exactly what I was doing. And a lot of people look at me funny because I feel that I was kind of blessed. I had 2 different social workers. I have 3 children. My oldest son had Native American heritage, so
Yes.
I had a separate social worker for him. And they were really, really, I mean, just all over me, trying to help me, and I fought against them. And one of my social workers said something one day that really got my attention, and that was kind of my turnaround moment. And I got on the phone the next day, got appointments for 3 different drug and alcohol assessments, took the very first one, got into treatment, came home, and from that moment on, after I graduated treatment, my social workers were right there by my side, and they were helping me through the whole process.
That mentorship is one of the most important pieces because you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
I attend all the drug court graduations, and I know what we're doing in our community in Kitsap County. And we have lots of people that aren't necessarily in Kitsap County, but they want to go through the program and better their lives. The bravery, because you go through lots of rigmarole. You've got lots of testing. They want to make sure that you're not going to slide back and just one time mess up. So you have to always be cognizant of what's going on and determined that you're going to take and complete the program.
Well, yeah, and you have to not just prove yourself to the state, but you have to prove yourself to yourself.
Yes.
That you can do this, and this is what you need if you expect to get your children back, and it is difficult. And the sad part about when I was going through my services was that there was nobody there to come in and sit by me and say, it's okay, I've been where you're at, I know how you feel, and that's why we came back to start the Parents for Parents program here in Kitsap County, is so we can go sit with a parent in court.
That's great.
So we can be there for them, and they can call us when they're having struggles versus calling the guardian ad litem's office and going off on them, or calling the social worker and
Right.
freaking out on them. They get to use us as like a sounding board and a confidant and just an all-around support, because we can look at them and say, we understand, we've been there. So it was really, it was a big struggle to get from point A to point B,
Right.
or point Z. But like I said, when you have professionals that are really trying to help you, and it's very difficult in the beginning. You think everybody's against you.
Right.
But
Well,
there's
because
gotta-
they've taken your children.
Exactly.
So there's the first thing
Yeah.
against you. Well, why should I cooperate? I don't have my children. So, and they're not all women. There's some men that have had a single parent,
Yep.
and they've again had to go through the program to get their
Yeah.
children back.
And one of the things that we like to express with them, with that being said, is it's not that CPS puts your name in a hat and pulls the name out and says, I'm going to come and get your kids. They took my children for a reason.
Yeah.
And that reason was my fault. It wasn't their fault. And I had to come to terms with that in order to move forward and do what was best for myself and for my kids.
So how many, is this a paid position, a volunteer position, and how many are there that contribute the services that you're doing now?
It's a voluntary position through the county,
Yes.
and we currently have
9 volunteers.
9 volunteers.
Not nearly enough.
No.
No.
So how long have you had your children back?
My children were removed in October of 2004, and they were placed back in my care in October of 2005.
Then you were one of the earlier ones, because I do know that it does take some time, a year or two. To
Well,
get
and
that.
I, as much as it took me a long time to really take some of the credit myself, I also give credit again to the social workers. And my children had a guardian ad litem as well, and he was really amazing, and he really helped encourage me and supported me to do things as well. So if you let them help, they're really there to help you.
I agree with you. Now, the celebration that comes up, the courts themselves, and those of you that work in your same capacity, Jennifer, you put on, you probably get some donated, but it's a big barbecue. It's at Evergreen Rotary Park. And about how many people attend? I've attended maybe the last 3 years. And they're all the families that have gone through successfully. And now the smiles and the joy. I enjoy that most of all. I'll rearrange my schedule in order to go to your celebration because of the joy that I see that is going on there. And the work that you have to do behind the scenes, no one ever realizes what goes into that, and the heartbreak, and when you have to take and maybe start over again. So it's such a benefit to have you on this program and to talk to our parents. You know, being a mayor, I see where there are arrests being made and there are calls being called in with domestic violence. There's any number of things that happen that create problems within a household. We're also, and I know that Jennifer knows this, we're trying to do with our public health is have, when someone first has a baby, we want to have that home visit. We want to make sure that if that's the third child in a family, that there's not neglect for the rest. We want them to have a dentist and or a doctor. We want to make sure that that family has every opportunity to be successful and to not have the problems that you fall into. Postpartum depression or depression itself sometimes reaches for that addiction level, whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever it could be. Gambling is also an addiction that faces us today.
Yeah.
So you're doing a remarkable job. We don't have enough of these types of public information things that I want to create and bring to our public. So Jennifer, anything that you'd like to tell us that, not avoidance, but that make you happy also over the process and how it ends up?
You know, I have worked with the veteran parents through the juvenile department for the last, since 2008. And I have enjoyed it because from my perspective, I don't have that ability to say I've been right where you are.
Right.
You know, but from a human perspective, I can empathize with some pieces. And so I think there is great value in the veteran parents being able to, I know in my role, I have said to parents directly when I see them struggling with an issue, can I give you this person's number? Can I give you their name so you can talk to them? Because I think that, you know, and I know that our veteran parents, because I've worked directly with them. And with regard to the picnic each year, although I would love to see the attendance be more, I think it is valuable, and it is, you know, for us as professionals, it's good to see that happiness and that joy that is at that picnic, because so often what you see in the media about CPS or families involved with CPS are the really horrible things.
They see the children leaving the family, never being returned.
Yes. And there are many families who do exactly what they need to do, and they reunify and they do what's best for their kids and their families, and that's who we're celebrating on that day.
And we're celebrating having you on my program. It's a happy time. Thank you for coming forward, for doing what you're doing. Marta, it's a joy, and Jennifer, again, Join me next time with Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent.